If you are a new glamping business operator wondering how to get bookings, or if you've been trading for a while but struggling to get your occupancy up, listen very closely to this episode. My guest is Ben Wolff, co-founder of Onera, an upscale experiential hospitality brand, and Oasi, an experiential hospitality marketing, management and development firm. Ben moves fast, so get your notebook and pen ready because you're about to have a masterclass on how to get your hospitality marketing dialed in. And from my own experience, what he's sharing really works. This is episode 25. Welcome to the Glamping Americas podcast, the place for inspiration about the business of upscale camping, glamping, and luxury outdoor guest accommodations. I'm Sarah Riley from the Glamping Academy, and I'm working with my friends at the Glamping Show Americas to share everything you need to know about new trends, events, business models, and investment potential in the rapidly growing world of luxury camping that delivers an experience. Interest in this industry is exploding, so if you want to be the first to find out what's hot and what's not, subscribe here and check out the show notes for more exciting news and links. And be sure to add the next Glamping Show Americas to your calendar for the 30th of September to the 1st of October 2025 near Denver, Colorado. I can't wait. Ben is the co-founder of Onera, a hospitality brand, and Oasi, an experiential hospitality marketing, management and development firm. I invited him on the show as he's a leading voice for modern hospitality and experiential stays, as well as social media marketing, something that actually this year will be growing very much in popularity when it comes to your guest wanting to book a holiday. Onera's first landscape hotel in Fredericksburg is constantly growing and has a variety of different types of offerings. Some safari tents, tree houses, container homes, a dome, and so there's a wide variety of offerings. Onera opened its second location in Texas at the end of 2024, and it has, again, more units coming. It has one called Spyglass, which is a tube-style treehouse that kind of pokes out from the tree canopy on the hillside, and a 100-person event space there as well, and a good-sized infinity pool. But this is the important bit. Onera and Oasi managed properties drove 75% plus direct bookings through social media content marketing. As we know, direct bookings come with a lot less cost, therefore there's more profit in each booking, and it means the owner manages to keep control. So I've grilled him for tips and tricks so you can do it too. Thank you so much, Ben, for joining me today. It's really great to have you here with your expertise in this industry and particularly in marketing, because this is something that owners really struggle with. They pretty much lack either the motivation or the knowledge on how they can get direct bookings, how they can attract people direct to their websites, to their booking platforms and everything else in between. And I know that you've got a heap of experience here, so I really do value your time. So let's start by talking about your own accommodation business and what that looks like.
Yeah, happy to. And thanks, Sarah, for having me on. Always happy to talk marketing and unique stays, glamping sites. So I'm the co-founder and creator of Onera, which is a landscape hotel brand. You might call it a luxury glamping site, depending on what circles you're in. And that initially was an 8-unit site that we expanded to 12. And we are now expanding again to 35 units. And we have a wide variety of unit types there, from container homes to domes to custom modern tree houses. So it's a wide variety, and it's done quite well. So we just opened up our second location in October in Wimberley, Texas, which is also in the hill country. And it just overlooks these incredible hill country views, dramatic landscape, west facing. So we get these amazing sunsets. That property has 28 units, 2 unit types. One of them is a tube style tree house that kind of pokes out from the canopy, if you will, of trees on the hillside. And then we have another unit type called the greenhouse that actually has a fully vegetated rooftop with 30 species of native grasses and wildflowers. So it really seamlessly blends into the landscape. We have a 100-person event space there and a commercial pool that has a beautiful infinity edge. So it's more catered to groups as well as the couples getaways. That's been our bread and butter since we opened Onera.
Tell me a little bit about what got you into this industry. Where did it all start for you?
Yeah, so I started in more traditional short-term rentals. I mean, I would call it kind of commodity stays, largely on Airbnb, and it was much more urban. So a very different hospitality real estate type than what I do today. So in cities, commodity, relying almost exclusively on OTAs, primarily Airbnb. And, that's how I got my start. There was a time, I think, in the mid 20 teens that a lot of money could be made in urban short-term rentals. It was early. There was still a pretty significant arbitrage opportunity, even in commodity short-term rentals. I think a lot of that has kind of been squeezed out. And then we had a portfolio. I had like 8 units to start, and we grew that up to 200 across the country under management. So I had this short-term rental management company. And then when COVID hit, that really upended the city short-term rental business. And that's what really pushed me into doing something very different and something that had been kind of gnawing at me for a while, but I hadn't had time to really pursue, which was this concept of a luxury glamping site or unique stay landscape hotel that became Onera.
So would you say that it's actually from the pandemic that things have really started to ramp up in the experiential stays marketplace?
So we were already seeing an uptick. I actually think, COVID definitely added fuel to the fire. And I think actually, unfortunately, like overinflated things too fast. And then we kind of come back to earth. And now I think we're in still a good steady state, but people, kind of got high on the COVID numbers that were out of this world. And then now we're back to 2019 levels and growing, which I think is, everyone would have looked at as a success if it wasn't for the COVID euphoria that really led to the explosion of the space. I think COVID was good because so many more people were open to the idea of glamping and outdoor hospitality, and it really, educated the market very quickly. But it also brought in, a lot of competitors. I think a lot of, mid-tier and lower tier product, which I don't think is doing that great.
So in terms of the industry, it's really interesting how you are absolutely mirroring what we have seen in the UK and Europe, as well as parts of the Americas. So it seems to be something that's worldwide. We had that kind of post-pandemic weird surge, and then everyone's jumping on the bandwagon. They're all wanting to get involved in the industry. And now they're having to have a little bit of reality when we're dipping back down again. So it's really interesting that you're seeing exactly the same thing. So when it comes to a business promoting and trying to get guests, they try all sorts of ways, and there are ways that work and ways that don't. But as an overview, what would you say the industry is looking like in terms of guest bookings? Would you say that we're on a steady climb? I know that we're not quite the same as we were during the pandemic, but are we starting to see a really interesting increase in what people are saying and doing and booking in terms of this industry?
Yeah. So look, I think that we post-election year, like we're going to see an uptick in travel. So I do think that there is going to be some improvement from 2024. Overall, I think we are still trending upwards, specifically with higher end, nicer, more differentiated products. I think that folks that have jumped on the bandwagon and created a product that was mediocre, was trying to maybe save a buck on the accommodations. I think that guests see that and they're looking for quality and they're looking for a unique, authentic, inspiring stay. So those properties, and particularly our nicest, most unique units, have barely seen a blip or a dip, even when most properties and glamping sites have been down in 2023 and into 24. So with our nicest, most unique units, we're definitely seeing the trend continue upward or at least stable. And look, we started exclusively on Airbnb, and with the COVID tailwinds, we were 90% occupied a lot of the time, $500 plus ADRs. I mean, we were doing extremely well just on Airbnb. And I kind of slipped on a banana peel into the social media marketing side of things, where a travel creator, influencer in Central Texas reached out on Airbnb, told me that she wanted to do a collab post, which I didn't even really know what that was at the time, but essentially a promo for us. And so I figured we might as well give it a shot. So we spun up a direct booking website. We did a collab with her. We actually did 2 collabs with her, and it generated about $30,000 in direct bookings. And it was a complimentary stay trade collab. It wasn't even paid. We've since paid her quite a bit because she's so good and generated so much value. So we've had her back a bunch, but that was really my start into seeing the power of social media and driving direct bookings. And So we really invested in influencer marketing that first full year we were open in 2022. So I would ask for referrals. I would take any inbound when it came to influencer marketing. And we did about 30 to 35% direct in that first year. And seeing that success, I wanted to double down. And we tried to hire an agency. Like I was doing social media for Onera kind of on the side myself, and it wasn't sustainable. Like I had too many other things going on at the time. And so we tried to hire it out to an agency, and that really fell flat. I mean, I just came to realize pretty quickly our growth curve had really tailed off. The engagement had really tailed off. They were, sending a lower level employee once a quarter with an iPhone to get some footage, which was not cutting it in terms of the high quality engaging reels that were becoming pervasive and are even more so today. So we ended up building out a team in-house because this agency had a bunch of sexy logos of other hotels and stuff that they manage for. And if I was like, wow, these are one of the sort of upper echelon agencies in the space, I better do it myself and build out an agency in-house. And that's what we did. So we, hired full-time videographers, editing firms, copywriters, people to handle the influencer marketing side of things. So that team today is over a dozen people. We have like 12 to 14 people that sit in our marketing side of Oasi, which is our services firm. So yeah, it's really, grown a lot, and Onera and a lot of our other client properties have seen a ton of benefit. The majority of our clients have a majority of their bookings come direct. So Onera, it's 80% direct. We have some other clients that are even above 80, and most of them are above 50.
If someone's listening to this and they're saying, what the hell is a direct booking? What is this all about? I mean, not everybody knows the term. So in the simplest way, can you describe the term, what it means, and the benefits for owners?
Yeah, happy to. So a direct booking is when a guest comes to your website directly and books with you without an intermediary like Airbnb or booking.com, one of these aggregators or online travel agencies, as they're called. So they book directly with you, and the benefits are like fourfold. So you control the guest journey from beginning to end. You can remarket to that guest because you have all their information. You save on OTA fees. So we price the same. Effectively, the guest will see the ultimate same price direct as they will on an OTA. And I know some people provide discounts direct. We found it's better for us to basically price the same and have price parity. So we effectively scoop 14%. And some of that goes into marketing, right, in our social media content, but it's still an amazing boost to the bottom line. And the final piece is that we're reaching a more emotional, price insensitive shopper. So if you're on Airbnb or booking.com, you're value shopping. You are comparing options. You're trying to get the best price. If you see Onera or one of our other clients or, another unique stay on Instagram, and there's this amazing engaging reel, you're like, oh, I have to have it. I got to stay there. And you don't even really have that much of a frame of reference for the price. So if it's priced at $400 a night or $650, if you have the means, you're probably going to pay either way. So we've just found that our ADR is actually higher direct than it is on the OTAs, not because we're priced higher, but because that consumer is less price sensitive. And so they book higher demand days, in high season, farther out when prices are often higher. So we see many benefits to direct and reaching our direct bookings through social. And I think the final thing is, we really believe that's where everything is going. So multi-generational population is doing the majority of their travel discovery on social media. So, millennials, Gen Z, even boomers on Facebook and to some extent Instagram are doing a lot of their travel discovery on social media. So we want to meet those guests where they are, and that's where they are. And it's a more immersive sensory experience. Like you can actually see video as a guest instead of just a static listing photo. So I really think it helps bring the property to life, and that's why guests prefer it. So in the coming couple of years, I really do believe that social media platforms will become a leading OTA in the minds of both guests and hosts.
I couldn't agree more, actually. And it's really interesting what you were saying there about beware when you're actually listing your property on an OTA like Airbnb, you're actually there with all your competitors. So people are comparing you against all the competitors and you're there in amongst them. And it's really hard to stand out. And the amount of people who say to me that that's where they're going to advertise their business, on an OTA, and that's it. They're not going to do anything else. They're not going to have their own website. They're not going to have their own booking platform. And so you would agree that that is not the way to do it. People need to have their own website and booking platform.
I think it's essential. If assuming you have a unique experiential product, right, a unique stay with a story, you're really leaving so much money on the table and so much opportunity on the table by not having a direct booking website and your own brand and investing in social to drive bookings direct, 100%.
And the other thing as well is to bear in mind that OTAs, the whole business model of an OTA is to minimize communication between the guest and the owner, because they don't want the guest to go over to the owner's website and book direct. They actually want to keep everyone on their platform. And by doing that, they're making it harder to actually speak off of the platform. So if an owner is really interested in keeping that communication up, they've really got to make sure that they are not on an OTA platform. So from your perspective, when an owner is really struggling to get engagement through their social media and they're struggling to get direct bookings, how would you say is a good approach for them? What would you advise them to do?
Unfortunately, there's no massive shortcut. You need really high quality content. So either you need to get really good at content yourself, or you need to hire it out. If you want to maximize social, look, you can have a page, post some photos. You can even do influencer marketing. I'd say that influencer marketing is probably a good sort of starting point for somebody who's new and doesn't want to invest as much into it yet. That's how I started. You can get influencers of varying sizes and cost and impact, and that can help grow your account, grow your audience. But what we've found is there becomes a point of diminishing returns with influencer marketing. It's great for like the first 6 to 9 months, maybe even the first year. And you want to have the best ones back periodically, maybe once a year, twice a year at the absolute most. But then after that 6 months to a year of really pushing influencer marketing, if you want to keep growing, you want to keep having high engagement, reminding your followers that you're there and to book with you, and then also connecting with new viewers and new followers, you need to really invest in your own content. And it's not cheap to do that, is the truth. You need very high quality videography. You need a good sort of storyboard and storyline that's engaging and captivating, on-screen text to kind of hook people in and explain to them what they're seeing. A lot of people are looking at these videos at the office or something like that, and they don't necessarily have the audio on. With that said, you still want to use trending audio. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things and a whole, art and science to creating highly engaging viral videos. But a good starting point, I would say, is influencer marketing.
And so when someone's actually thinking about, oh my goodness, I've got to change my media, I haven't done that for a while, I need to refresh pictures, I need to maybe get some video in, how often would you say that they need to do that? So once a year, twice a year, more than that?
In terms of having a high quality shoot, basically to get media assets. So for our clients, we do a minimum of 2 shoots a year. And a lot of times it's more than that. And those are usually 4+ day shoots. So we need multiple sunrises, sunsets, golden hours. Weather can be an issue, right? So you want to make sure that you're getting plenty of good shooting days to get a ton of content. And then it's all about, chopping it up into interesting, as I said, storylines and captivating reels, which is definitely, both art and science. And you need great editors, or you need to know how to edit yourself. And so it can take some resources to really do it right. But if you have the right videographer, you kind of nail it on each shoot, then I think you can get away with 2 very high quality shoots and then post somewhere around 2 to 3 high quality reels per week.
So would you say reels is where you're seeing the most kind of interaction and engagement?
Almost all of it. Yeah. I mean, it's very hard to have a static photo go viral or help grow your account these days. Carousels do okay, but a lot of the carousels doing well fall into the Reels tab. You have, a carousel with multiple photos, you attach some trending audio to it, and you upload it as a reel. And that tends to do well also. But the vast majority of posts we're putting out are video reels of, usually anywhere from 13 to 20 seconds. And that seems to be what is optimal for growing the account and creating the engagement.
And would you say the reels, the kind of media, the kind of storyboarding that you need to think about is from the point of view of the guest? So what they'll be seeing if they were a guest and trying to get them to imagine themselves at that location. Is that what you would advise?
100%. Yeah. I mean, look, we do use models, lifestyle models in our shoots, but the focus is very much not on them. The focus is on the property. You might just catch them, walking up a spiral staircase going into the treehouse, or opening a door, or, laying on the bed or sitting in the tub, but you're just kind of catching over the shoulder. So you can really envision yourself in their shoes. That's what we're shooting for. And there's this whole like push pull and tension and resolution that we're trying to create, even in like a 13 to 20-second reel. So that could be opening the door. Like I said, it could be running up the staircase. So like there's some sort of movement, some sort of action, and then this hero shot that really, kind of blows people away.
So a couple of times I get people say, I can't find models. I can't get models engaged. It's going to be too expensive and I had to get the model release and everything else. So what would you say to that? Is it actually okay to just design an area or set up an area so it looks like there are people there, but you're not actually taking any videos with people in the frame? Is that something that you think is okay?
You can. We've definitely seen the most success with, and actually it's just one model in the video. You don't need like a big group. You don't even necessarily need a couple, though that can do well. We've found the highest performing is one model, kind of helping weave the story and pull you in and envision yourself there. And you don't need a professional model, thousands of dollars a day. You can work with an amateur model. You can work with a, friend or family. A lot of our models are girlfriends and wives of our videographers because they have chemistry and, they've done a lot of work together, and it's kind of fun for them to do and to shoot. And that comes through in the video, I think.
So in terms of going on social media, sharing something that's been put together really nicely and edited well and all of that kind of thing, and you get a good reaction from people, if you would then want to build on that and you want to start engaging with influencers, for example, how would you recommend going about choosing those influencers? Because once you've worked with them, you know which ones are going to be good and which ones are going to bring bookings for you. But what about the first steps? How do you actually find them, choose them, and get in touch with them? What would you recommend there?
That's a great question, because there's a lot of landmines out there. And I think that influencer marketing is experiencing quite a bit of inflation right now. So there a lot of those rates are going up. It's not always worth it. So you definitely have to be careful. So the best way, I think, is actually referral. Find somebody else in your space who uses influencers, and, hopefully you're friendly with them. Hopefully they're willing to share. I've had a number of referrals come my way of influencers that are great and actually drive value and drive bookings. And I'm always super happy to work with them because I know they're vetted and have provided value. Outside of that, you can learn a lot from looking at their account, right? You want them to have a decent following. It doesn't have to be massive. Like we've had micro influencers, call it 10,000 or less followers, also drive considerable value. And typically they're free. Some of the bigger influencers are going to cost you, and some of them are well worth it. Like we actually see there's kind of this distribution where it feels like the free influencers can be a ton of value and totally worth the comp stay. And then the really expensive influencers, like the right ones, drive a tremendous amount of value and are totally worth what they charge. And then there's this whole sea in the middle of folks that are charging, call it like high hundreds to low thousands per collab. And you really have to watch out there because they might have a following, but just not have the engagement, not have the relevant audience to what you're trying to sell with your stay. So you got to watch out for that. The things to look for are engagement and the relevance of the audience. So if they have, 100,000 followers, you want to make sure they have some videos in the recent future that at least surpassed 100,000 followers. And ideally some that did hundreds of thousands, if not 1 million views, right? It doesn't have to be every video, but you need to see some that pop, and you want their average engagement to at least be in the tens of thousands, right? They can't have 100,000 followers and be putting out videos with 8,000 views. That's just too low. So that's what I would say in terms of the engagement side of things. And there's a bunch of engagement calculators out there. Typically, I think you want to target 5% engagement or more. That can be a hard number to hit, especially with a bigger following. So we'll go as low as 2 or 3% engagement, depending on how big the influencer is and what the ask is, right? How much they're charging, when they're trying to stay, is it a weekend, weekday, et cetera. And then the other one is relevant audience. So ideally, your bread and butter is going to be travel creators and people that have authority in the travel space and hospitality space. We've found a lot of success with foodie influencers as well, because they're looking at restaurants. A lot of times restaurants are in hotels, and there's like a decent amount of crossover and cross-pollination between restaurants and hotels and glamping and sort of stays in general. So we have seen success there, but got to really watch out for like a random TV star, a fitness influencer, something that's just kind of totally, unrelated to travel and stays, and that they don't have really any authority with their audience in terms of where to go and where to stay.
And I love the fact that you just said there, don't ignore the small micro influencers, because they can be really, really good if you get the right one, and they have much lower expectations. The partnership is usually much more mutually beneficial. But one of the things that I have heard from a lot of people is, I set up an arrangement to work with this influencer, and we gave them a stay. They made us a promise. They gave us all of this spiel of what they could achieve for us, and we didn't get anything back. So they had their stay, they had their money maybe, but we didn't get anything back. So I always say, get some kind of contract in place before you start. Is that something that you would work on?
For sure. Yeah. We have contracts with all of our influencers that just make it very clear what the deliverables are, timelines, and we pay them. If they're paid, they get paid after they post.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So in terms of what's going on in the wider world, in the wider digital world, and particularly AI, what would you say your thoughts are around that and marketing this kind of business?
I mean, look, I think AI is going to permeate every aspect of almost every business out there. And I think help in a lot of ways, make us more efficient, make us more scalable. We're already seeing some incredible advancements with AI video. I think, I just saw something from Google DeepMind yesterday. Sora, recently released to the public with OpenAI's video generating platform. So there's a lot happening. There's still a little bit of jankiness. Like we can't go and get a bunch of footage and then just like AI generate models into it and have it look real. It will be pretty evident pretty quickly for most folks that in most cases that model is not real and it's AI generated, but we're rapidly approaching a world in which that is possible. So I think it's only a matter of when, not if, at this point, and it might be sooner than a lot of people think. Outside of that, I mean, we use AI, we use Claude, quite a bit for writing and storylines and copywriting to sort of tweak what we're doing and try to pack a better punch and just have cleaner, tighter writing. So that's one that we use quite a bit.
But do you think there will be ever AI fatigue in terms of the guests looking at things on someone's social media post and they see something that they believe is probably AI? Do you think that will turn people off, or do you think that's going to be okay still, or as things get better, people are going to be more patient with it? And this is the thing that I quite like, seeing that somebody is human, they might make a mistake, they might trip over their words, or they might smile or giggle or do something silly and that is so clearly human. Do you think that's something that is maybe going to be better over time as people have AI fatigue?
So I think that already exists, right? There is like this sort of negative reaction if somebody's like posing something as real and it's AI generated, right? Nobody likes that. I think that it's much more accepted if it's known to be AI, and then they can kind of accept it for what it is. I will say though, in the not too distant future, you're just not going to be able to tell. They're going to be able to build in those giggles, and if you want to make it look more authentic and throw a couple mistakes and ums and things like that in there, I mean, it's just going to get that good at creating real life looking content. So it's coming, and then it'll be interesting to see, like, there's obviously a lot of nefarious things that can be done with that type of AI video. So hopefully regulation will do what it needs to do without over-regulating. But yeah, I think we're going to be in a golden age of content where anybody can kind of create anything, and it'll really come down to creativity. And there's still going to be a human element to the prompting, right? It's still a human generated story in a lot of ways, right? Like you're putting in the inputs that are then creating this video. So there's still very much a human component. I do think there could be this sort of, backlash against AI that there's like a, this is human made or some way to kind of verify that and show that people really gravitate to and appreciate. So I do think there's opportunity for that.
So what's your thoughts in terms of AI and this industry in particular, the experiential industry? Do you think that there's going to be a surge in this industry because of the fact that AI is making everything so bland?
So I think that it is going to certainly help the operators that are able to harness it. And I think it's going to help drive direct bookings because you'll be able to create better content more easily. And there's already video tools out there that are pretty darn good where you can turn a cloudy day into a sunny day in a video and things like that, which is phenomenal. I mean, I'll tell you from somebody who runs a content agency, weather is very challenging at times when you have a shoot scheduled for a while and you get 3 days of rain and clouds. So some of those things are great, I think, for everybody. But I do think the bar is going to get higher, right? In terms of content, the bar is going to get higher in terms of the stay and the experience. People are probably going to care that much more about reviews because it's going to demonstrate, what this experience is actually like and not just what maybe this AI generated video is showing me. So I do think there are ramifications, but I don't think experiential hospitality is going anywhere. I think it's only going to accelerate. People want unique experiences. They want one-of-one stays. They want to be inspired. It's such a different age of hospitality than, decades ago when it was heads in beds. You were going to a specific destination. You wanted a brand that you trusted that wasn't going to be rat infested in a comfy bed and close to an attraction. Right now it's like, I want you to inspire me. I want you to create some emotion, evoke some emotion in me if I'm going to come stay there. And the place that I choose to stay is kind of like the anchor of the whole trip in a lot of cases. So I only think that hospitality and unique experiences are going to get better and more pervasive, and the big flag hotels and like the bigger operators are going to have to adapt if they want to win in this age of the modern traveler that demands that.
So if you were to meet somebody now who's thinking about getting involved in this industry, what would you say to them? Would you encourage them?
I definitely would. I would be careful about the market that you pick and the product that you create. I would want to be in a market that is beautiful, stunning landscapes. That's obviously a big part of outdoor hospitality. That's the first piece. You need to be accessible. So you have to be within, call it hour and a half, 2 hour drive to either a major market or a massive tourist destination and driver, like a national park or something like that. So you need a reason why people are going to come to this area, or it's close enough to a city that it's an easy drive. But you want to pick a market that doesn't have a ton of this inventory yet. Right. You want to be relatively early. Certain markets are definitely experiencing a lot of saturation, and it just becomes harder and harder to stand out. But I think there's some markets that have none of this product still. So go after those markets and really I think it's very important to at least try to be best in market. Right. And in a lot of these places that don't have a lot of competitors yet, there isn't really glamping. It's not that hard to be the best. So go for that and try to have that long-standing moat of having a really quality product. And typically I tell people, invest more in fewer units to create a better, more one-of-a-kind stay, because it's easier to keep your occupancy up, your ADRs up. You'll be more insulated against competition because your unit is so unique and high quality. And there's just way more mediocre product out there than high quality and, really inspiring stays.
Absolutely. So in terms of your business, and because you're quite unique, you've got the stays and you also have the marketing. So are you still really excited to be in this industry?
I love building hospitality product built for the modern traveler. I love building experiential hotels, landscape resorts, treehouse hotels. I love this stuff. And so I'll continue to do it. And I am continuing to do it. In some cases, I have the great fortune of getting brought in as a partner, someone with a track record and experience on a sizable project with, big vision and ambition that I can help push forward. So I'm doing more of that in select markets. And I do have another concept that I plan to roll out, in the next couple of years, but I'm being patient, waiting for the perfect property and in the right market before I move forward there.
No, that sounds really interesting. You have to come back and speak to me when you've got your concept rolling. That would be really interesting to hear about. So if somebody wants to reach out to you or to see what you do and have a look at your websites, where should they go?
Yes, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm very active there. Ben Wolff, 2Fs on LinkedIn. On Twitter, I am at Unique Stays Guy. And Instagram, I am Ben Wolff. And our website for services is stayoasi.com, stayoasi.com.
That's fabulous. Thank you so much for your time today. It's been really inspiring to hear what you're doing at the moment. And I look forward to hearing more as your projects progress.
Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate it.